Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be The Disaster Artist, number 2 would be Coco, number 3 would be Justice League, number 4 would be Wonder, and number 5 would be Thor Ragnarok. And I only got 1 out of 5 of my predictions right, mainly because the movie I predicted to be number 1 was only opening in about 800 theaters when I thought it was going to be expanding everywhere. But we'll get to that later. Number 1 was Coco once again. The last time Disney's gonna be number 1 at the box office. Until next week when Disney is number 1 at the box office. This movie, however, made $18 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $135 million. And on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $389 million. Now, typically, most Pixar budgets are around $175 million, and on Wikipedia, it is saying that the budget is somewhere between $175 and $200 million. If you double 175, that gets you to $350, so if you take it on that number, this movie has already doubled its budget and is doing very well. But if you want to go to the farther end of the $200 million era for the budget, it only needs about $11 million more to get to that doubling point. So Coco is still, either way you look at it, a big hit for Pixar, and I'm very happy with this because this might just be my favorite of theirs. I can't say that yet. I'm still kind of tossing and turning about where it goes in the top 3. Right now, it's like Up, WALL-E, and this movie right here. I'm honestly being serious about that. I loved it that much, and a lot of people are loving it that much. That's why it's making so much money. On the opposite side of that, a movie not doing so well, Justice League is at number 2, only making about $9 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $212 million. Now, there is good and bad news. The bad news is that it needed to get around $1 billion to be a really big win for the studio, and because it hasn't reached that point yet, like in Avengers or Avengers Age of Ultron, it's caused a lot of shakeups at Warner Brothers, apparently. Like, there's been a bunch of news articles coming out about that. But on the good side of that, the budget is only $300 million, which is a lot. But the worldwide numbers have it sitting at $613 million. So you can technically say that this movie is a success. I mean, it did double its budget, its production budget at least. So you have something going there at least. It's not a huge disaster of a flop, but it is still sort of flopping because it's not at $1 billion. You know it's bad when the number 3 film, which is Wonder, is doing much better than you. This movie made $8 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $100 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $129 million. It's already doubled, tripled, quadrupled, all that of its $20 million budget. I'm very happy with this movie because apparently it's a pretty good movie, and a lot of people are turning out to see it. I didn't think this movie would be as huge as it was, but, you know, take it to the fact that it is based on a book and you have that audience already and the positive word of mouth that's been going around, this movie's actually shaping up to be a really big surprise financial hit. Coming in at number 4, we have The Disaster Artist, which I predicted to be number 1, but it turns out it only opened into 800 theaters, so it wasn't enough, blah, 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 my bad. But it did open with $6.4 million this weekend, and since it's been in limited for about a week at this point, it adds to a domestic total of $8 million. Luckily, the budget is only around $10 million, so they have a small number to get to, and I think because of the praise it's been getting, and hopefully the Oscar attention it will get, I think it'll be able to double that budget in no time, and it'll be well-deserved. More people will be able to go see The Room and give Tommy Wiseau more money. Number 5 is Thor Ragnarok, the one prediction I got right this weekend. It made $6.2 million, adding to a domestic total of $301 million. It was able to cross that $300 million margin this weekend domestically, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $833 million. And I noticed that Spider-Man Homecoming has the highest grossing worldwide returns, and Thor Ragnarok is about 50 or so million behind it. I don't think Thor Ragnarok will be able to surpass Spider-Man Homecoming. It might be able to get close to it, or maybe it'll have a big boost, and it'll be able to become the highest grossing comic book film worldwide this year. But I'm not so sure yet. Number 6 is Daddy's Home 2, making $6 million, adding to a domestic total of $91 million, and on the worldwide chart, it was finally able to do it. It made $142 million, which is $4 million over its doubling point from its $69 million budget. Congratulations, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson and John Lithgow. You're able to double your budget but make $4 million over. Yay, you finally did it. only worldwide, of course. Domestically, you didn't have the same success as the first movie. Either way, this movie is a bit of a step down from the first one's financial success, but it still doubled its budget, so they're not worried or anything. Number 7 is Murder on the Orient Express, making $5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $92 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $274 million. I don't think we'll be able to see it get to $300 million worldwide before it leaves the top 10, which I think might not be next week, but maybe the week after that. But either way, this movie is doing very well, and I just found out a couple days ago that they already are in development on another Hercule Poirot movie, and I couldn't be happier about that, because I did enjoy Murder on the Orient Express. Clearly, some people enjoyed it domestically and worldwide-wise, so I can't wait to see if that movie ever comes out, and if it'll share the same success that Murder on the Orient did. Number 8 is The Star, making $3.6 million, adding to a domestic total of $32 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $36 million. It only needs $4 million more worldwide, or $8 million more domestically to double its $20 million budget. Honestly, I'm shocked that this movie made as much money as it did, considering it feels like it's always been like below the top 5, like around this like 6 to 10 range, like for its entire runtime now. Like, I'm honestly shocked that it's even still here, but it is. Number 9 was Lady Bird, though, making $3.5 million, so this and The Star could switch places maybe, but that adds to a domestic total of $22 million, and it was able to double its $10 million budget, make $2 million over that, and that is very good for this film, and I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't really add that much to it, but from what I've heard, it is a really terrific film, and that's why so many people have been talking about it and getting others to see it. Hopefully I can soon. And number 10, another new release, Just Getting Started. I knew this was coming out, but I didn't think it would make it into the top 5, and I was right. It only made about $3.1 million this weekend, which is actually more than I thought it would make, so it actually did better in that regard, but the budget is $22 million, and they needed $44 million to be considered a success, and this movie's just not going to get anywhere near that. Unfortunately, I guess, but now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. I'm just going to assume that next week we're going to have like a ton of winners, because number 1 I'm predicting will be Star Wars The Last Jedi. Obviously, that's obvious. Then number 2, Ferdinand. Number 3, Coco. Number 4, Justice League. And number 5, Wonder. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.